Welcome to the DFS Jags PGA Golf Show 2021 RSM Classic DraftKings picks and bets. I am your host, Tony Altieri, and with me on the line, as always, my co-host, Ravens superfan, back from Florida. Well, the Ravens, they got absolutely dismantled by perennial NFL powerhouse, the Miami Dolphins. Dr. Riku Mukherjee. Rick, have the Ravens fired their coaching staff as you had suggested on Twitter last week?
I wish, man. I'm so sick and tired of it. I've wanted John Harbaugh fired for so long now, and most of the Ravens fan base think I'm crazy, but I just don't think he's a good coach anymore.
Is it because he's not a good coach or because he is a bona fide member of QAnon and with Scott Piercy?
Probably both. He's a big Trumper. I'm not a supporter of that, and he just doesn't seem like he knows what he does when it comes to football. I just don't get what the infatuation with him is when it comes to just overall people in football. They think he's such an amazing coach when I just don't think he's that good.
Yeah, how was Miami in general though? Because you were not only down there to watch the Ravens lose, you were down there for a country music thing too.
It was fun. It was 5 straight days as soon as I landed from the plane of consuming alcohol. I'm feeling it right now, pretty badly. Today dragged pretty hard. I got back in yesterday morning. I landed at 10 a.m. Pretty much got home and just like kind of slept and lied in bed all day and just kind of recovered from the weekend. But it was nice to see all my friends from Maryland for 5 days, and we just hung out. We went to Tortuga Music Festival, and now they just announced they're having it again in April. So my friends are talking about wanting to go in April. It is during Masters Week in April, so I don't know if I want to go to that, but it was fun.
Yeah, it's funny because I would imagine like at a country music festival, there's probably a lot of Trump guys there. So
Dude,
you got to keep the political stuff in a place like that.
Do you know about? I literally just found this out on my trip, but do you know about? Have you heard about the "Thank You, Brandon" thing? Let's go, Brandon. Yeah, let's go, Brandon. Sorry, let's go, Brandon.
Oh yeah, I've known about that for months, but my echo chamber is a little different than yours.
Yeah. So I just found out about it when I was like, "What the hell is Let's Go, Brandon? And why is everybody wearing Let's Go, Brandon hats at the country music concert?" And everyone was just chanting it. Like I'm like literally in the bathroom taking a piss, and people are like chanting "Let's Go, Brandon." And I'm like, "What the hell, man, is going on?" But then I realized it's a diss on code for dissing on Biden, and I thought it was funny. But yeah, I was just surrounded by rednecks all weekend.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that Chris has not like clued you into the "Let's Go Brandon" thing, because I'm sure
he literally told me about it
on that train before it even left the station.
Yeah, he told me about it as soon as I got down there. I was confused at what he was talking about, but he explained it to me, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's kind of funny, actually."
Yeah, it is funny, and if you watch the clip that's out there that all of this stemmed from, that's what makes it even funnier.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a whole thing. Like white people and the "Let's Go Brandon" deal, like that's a full train of a head full of steam.
The southern white people at this concert wearing cowboy hats and "Let's Go Brandon" hats were a sight to see, to be completely honest with you. But overall, it was a good time. Music was good. I saw Pitbull on Sunday night. He was fun. He's a good performer. So I had a good time. I was watching a lot of golf on my phone because I actually on Friday night I actually bet. I have no idea what got into me. I was really drunk, but I laid a big number on Martin Trainer Wednesday night Friday night at like I think he was either one stroke back or winning after Friday or something like that, and he was still like, I think he was like 50 or 60 to 1 or something like that, and I put a big number down. I was like, this guy has not won like in years. He sucks, but maybe he'll actually pull it off. And he was winning after like the front 9 on Sunday, which was really upsetting, but he couldn't pull it out.
I mean, that's been kind of our, like, one of us, I think, in every tournament for the last like 8 or 9. If we haven't had a winner, we've had a guy who's had the lead through, I don't know, 56, 64 holes and then blows it on the back 9.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't think Martin Trainer was going to win the tournament. I just had a nice ticket on him. He was right there, in contention. I thought Scotty Scheffler was going to win, but once he started falling apart, I did not think Jason Kokrak was going to win. But this guy just got caught on fire on the back 9, made like 4 or 5 straight birdies or something like that, and just like, I don't know, he just basically ran everyone down and won the tournament.
Yeah, the funny thing about Kokrak is I actually had tweeted it out on Saturday morning because he was, I think, 7 or 8 under going into the end of round 2, and they blow the horn. Like I said, 7 or 8 under.
Yeah.
He picks up Saturday morning at like 6 in the morning and proceeds to shoot like +7 and is 1 under going into rounds 3 and 4. He plays okay on Sunday, really makes no headway, and then everybody else imploded on Sunday, and he shoots 4 under and wins the tournament.
Yeah, he just came out of nowhere. He literally just turned it on for like 4 straight holes. I don't know how he literally shot a 41 on 9 holes in this tournament and still won the tournament. I mean, in my opinion, that's like my favorite type of golf is when it's in the -8 to like -12, -13 range. I love tournaments like that. I really don't like the birdie fests or the super hard like +1 finishes or whatever. I think the sweet spot there is like -7 to like -13. Like those are tournaments that are fun for me to watch because like you can shoot a 41 and still light it up the rest of the time and still win the tournament. And we saw that like I think it was it last year at the BMW when John Rahm, after I think round 2, he was like, I don't know, like 4 over or 5 over, but he were getting a good number on him and he was playing well. And like, it was such a hard course. He was able to string birdies together and win that tournament and beat DJ in a playoff. But I really like events like that. I just didn't think Kokrak was going to do it. I thought if anything, it was going to be Scheffler or Henley or someone else, or I was hoping Martin Trainer, but yeah, just Kokrak just blitzed them on the back 9. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, it's always interesting when we have these kinds of tournaments like this, because we talked about it leading up last week on the show, was that, in these tougher tracks, the cream rises to the top. We have the best players in the world. But I even laughed and tweeted you, like, after round 2, like, if you looked at the top of the leaderboard, the top 15 guys, it was like nobody's. Like, none of the guys that we talked about were even in the hunt. The best players in the field, they all basically played like trash. And you mentioned it, like Martin Trainer and Russell Henley and all the swing season guys were at the top of the leaderboard, even though the course played much tougher. I still thought it made for good TV. I followed it both on Saturday and Sunday. But like you, I was surprised to see Kokrak. He was not even in my field of reference going into Sunday, but he was the only guy that didn't implode. And the only thing I knew that was going to happen, which did, was that Scheffler was not going to be able to close. That guy is the worst version of Tony Finau when it comes to closing tournaments.
Yeah, his career is still young. He'll close a tournament eventually, but I was expecting him to this week, especially after the front 9 when he got to -9. I thought he was going to close it out, but yeah, I mean, like looking back on it, to be completely honest with you, like, why wouldn't this be a Kokrak course? Like, it's long. 100%. It's long.
You need to putt.
You need a putt. Like, it's just the only reason why we wrote him off is because he hasn't been playing well, and his putter has gone back to old Jason Kokrak putter. But this week he turned it back on and gained strokes putting, and gained strokes tee to green and won a tournament. And this is third win in a little
13,
over a year.
Yeah, 13 months.
Starts. Yeah, 13 months is a third win, which is just up there with everyone else, with Rahm and Cantlay and everyone else. So we know he's good. He's a great golfer. So definitely expect big things from Kokrak if he continues to play like this year.
Yep, like you said, we both kind of passed on him because of the current form and said, hey, even though this fits him perfectly, there just hasn't been enough that we've seen as of late that would make me say, okay, Kokrak's moving in a direction where he should win. But again, the course was perfectly set up for him, and he had the spike putting week that that he can have, and he won the tournament. So good for him. Bad for us. We didn't catch a winner. I didn't even have a sniff at anybody inside the top 10. I added it Adam Long on, I think, Friday or Saturday, just with live odds. But, he never really was in contention to win the event. But, hey, that's live and learn, and we move on to the next week. And that puts us right here at the RSM, Sea Island, Georgia, what I would call like the crowning jewel of the swing season, the last event of the year. It actually is a pretty good tournament. It's usually got a terrible field, but it's a nice little tournament. There's a bunch of Sea Island, Georgia guys that are members here at this course. So you get a lot of the same guys to come back here. It definitely has a player profile that seems to fit who does well and has success at this course. And again, we've got that 2-course rotation with the Plantation and the Seaside course this week. So it makes for an interesting tournament.
Yeah, I definitely like this event. We've seen perennials here, Webb and Kisner, and even, I mean, you can even say Robert Streb.
Yep.
Have great course history here. I think this is a big course history week. To be completely honest with you, it's a course that a lot of these guys, like you said, these Sea Island guys, I feel like there's like 50 of them in the field. Like they see this course a lot. They're familiar with it. It's a pretty easy course. It's a birdie fest, so it's going to be it's a fun tournament. I, I we're into the whole multi-course rotation season kind of thing now, because we get a lot of that because of daylight savings time coming up in January and early February until we hit like I guess like past Pebble, maybe it's like a lot of course rotations and stuff like that. So
Yep.
I'm not a huge fan of that, just because for some reason they can't get shot link data on all the courses. They just get it at like the main course, and they don't get it at like the other courses for some reason. I don't know why they can't do that, but it is what it is. I understand it. It makes interesting building for lineups and stuff like that. I mean, I don't really play too much into it when it comes to building DraftKings lineup, like who's playing what course. The only time I ever really would consider it would be as if I was playing like one day showdown or first round leader bets or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice fun course. I just remember last year. I mean, I think every single person in the community had a Kisner ticket last year, and Robert Streb came and broke our heart last year.
Yeah, the funny thing about it is everybody equates this course to Webb Simpson and Kevin Kisner. There are 5 previous winners of this event in the field. None of them are named Webb Simpson or Kevin Kisner.
Yeah.
So that's the funny thing about it, is you've got like Mac Hughes and T Dunks and Austin Cook and a bunch of no-name guys that have won this tournament. Typically, or I should say over the last let's say 4 to 5 years, the winners come out of nowhere. I mean, they've come from way back in the field. Again, you're talking about a player and a course fit that does very, very well at this place, but it's typically come at longer odds. Anywhere between 50 to 125 to 1 is where the winners have come. When Mac Hughes has won at a tournament before, you're talking about long shots. So it's really interesting. It's probably why I've sprinkled so much in my betting card, especially beyond 100 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it because if you look at the stats, if you pay attention to the course profile and what it takes to have success and win here, mirroring what Webb Simpson and Kevin Kisner do well, you can like narrow in on a few guys deeper in the field and hit a big long shot, hit a big ticket here.
Yeah, it's not one of those courses that demand distance. We'll get into it in a second, but it's not one of those courses that demand distance. So all these guys are going to have wedges in. So it's a wedge fest. It's a wedge and birdie fest. So that's why people like Kisner and people like Robert Streb come into play here, because they don't hit it that far off the tee. They just get it to wedge range and flip it up there and make putts.
Yeah, I mean, so Sea Island course, the Seaside course in particular, it's a par 70. It's 7,000 yards. It's one of the shortest courses on tour. Like we said, there is the rotation between this and the Plantation course, but the guys will play the Seaside course 3 times during the course of the tournament if they make it through the cut. Last year's champion is Robert Streb, who we've alluded to multiple times. He has 2 PGA Tour wins. They've both come in this event.
Yep.
So again, course history is a huge predicator or indicator for future success here, how guys have played. And there's other comp courses like the Heritage and Colonial and a couple other tournaments where typically these type of guys do very, very well. And we see the same guys play all these courses. Key stats for me this week. I look at approach every single week, but I will be factoring in putting way more than I typically have before, especially on the Seaside course. You're dealing with wind and lightning fast greens typically. So guys who have very good putters that putt well in Bermuda, they tend to do very well here and have success. A bunch of the par 4s, 11 of the par 4s fall between 400 and 470 yards. So that's a key distance. So I'm going to be looking and factoring that in heavily. And then you mentioned it, that wedge distance from like 150 to 175 yards. The majority of the proximity, or I should say approach shots, will come from that distance. So guys who can stick it close and sink putts, those are the guys that are going to win here. And then, of course, green regulation, that's one of those stats that it's like neither here nor there, but GIR is a big indicator. Guys that are hitting greens in regulation and from distances where proximity is good, those are the guys that are going to be at the top of the board this week. It's a pretty simple formula. And to your point, because distance isn't a huge advantage for anybody, the entire field's in play. It makes it fun. It opens it up. It creates for an interesting betting board and even more interesting DraftKings builds.
Yep.
So talking specifically about DraftKings, let's go at top of the board. We've got 5 guys above $10,000. Nobody above 11 grand this week, but it's highlighted by your boy, Scotty Scheffler, Mr. Can't Close 2.0 a la Tony Finau, but Tony's won twice, so I can't even say that anymore. But Scotty Scheffler, Webb Simpson, Louis Oosthuizen, Cam Smith, and Harris English. For me, the big question, and it's the question everybody asks, is do
What
you
do you do
play
with
Webb
Webb?
Simpson? Yeah. Do
What do
you
you
go
do with
all in
Webb?
on Webb, or do you fade him and try to get some leverage on the field?
I think I'm going to fade him. I'm not. I haven't been impressed with Webb for a while now. He
His
hasn't
numbers
done.
haven't been good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, besides almost making the playoff at Wyndham, which is a course that he owns, it hasn't been that great, to be completely honest with you. I would rather pay the extra 200 and go up to Scotty, or I would drop down to someone like Cam Smith. I think even though Cam Smith has never played this course before, I think he is I think he's an elite golfer where he doesn't need to see a course or have history on a course to come and win. And I think he has pretty good win equity here. We've seen him win at a course similar to this in Hawaii before. So I think up here, up top, my two favorite players are going to be Scotty and Cam Smith. You could go to the Sea Island boy in Harris English here, but I don't know. His form hasn't been the greatest. He played all right at the Ryder Cup. I don't think we've seen him since the Ryder Cup, to be completely honest with you. I can't remember, but he just hasn't been coming in with the greatest form before that. So I think up here for me, it's gonna be Scotty and Cam Smith, and I think I'm gonna take the stand and fade Webb.
Yeah, the most interesting guy to me in this range, well, there's two. One is Harris English, the other one is Louis Oosthuizen. We talk about like a kind of profile of the kind of guy that does well here. Harris English won at Travelers. Travelers is another course where you could say there's some correlation to what happens at Travelers and the type of guy that does well here. And then of course Louis was so steady, and the putting was what carried him last year. Obviously that's fallen off since we've kind of moved over to the new season. He hasn't had the same level of success because the putting's gone cold.
Yep.
But I mean, when you're talking about putting the ball in the fairway and hitting wedges, that's Louis Oosthuizen to me. And then I think that I would roll the dice on a guy like Harris English, just looking at long-term form. I added a column to my model this week, which is represented in CPS ranking, which takes into account like what I would say comp course fits.
Okay.
And Harris English ranks really, really well when you look at the other courses that we may have mentioned, Sony and Colonial and Heritage and these other tracks that are of similar builds on Bermuda. So he seems to play well at those types of courses. Much like Webb Simpson, as you can see, pretty much checks all the boxes other than form. So, for me, I think I'm going to roll the dice on Harris English, and then it's going to come down to the top three guys in Scheffler, Simpson, and Oosthuizen. It's really going to come down to ownership, because I think all three guys are very, very good plays. And I think there's enough guys, oddly enough, in the 6Ks where I think you could, if you wanted to, start a build with two guys in the 10Ks.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now that the play there, if you're looking at ownership, is Louis. I mean, he's coming in super low owned compared to Scotty and Webb. Pretty much all the ownership in this 10K range is funneling towards Scotty and Webb. So any of the other three guys, Cam, Louis, or Harris English, you're going to get leverage to the field if you are overweight on them, and then decide to fade either Scotty or Webb. So. You go with Louis and English. I'll go with Cam. I'm not worried about Louis' putter, to be completely honest with you. This guy's the best putter in the world. I mean, he's amazing.
One of the best. Yeah,
one of the best. Like when it comes to the flat stick, I'm not worried that he's lost strokes putting for a few events in a row. He knows how to turn around. The guy knows how to putt. So if he just putts like Louis and like you said, these wedges and off the tee, so consistent. But just like we said with Scotty, the guy doesn't know how to close an event in America. So
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
so that's a little worrisome. Obviously, we know that English and Cam Smith and Webb can win an event. Like they won, they've won on the PGA Tour before. So,
Yeah.
I'm not really baking that too much into fear of Louis. I mean, this guy, would anybody be surprised if Louis Oosthuizen won a tournament? No one's going to be surprised. The guy's one of the best players in the world. So, yeah, I mean, do what you will with it. But like I said, the ownership is the top two guys here, and then the other three guys are leverage plays here.
Yeah, absolutely. Dropping down to that next tier in the 9Ks, we talk about leverage. there are a ton of guys in this area. And I think probably the most popular build this week is going to be just to grab 2 or 3 guys from this range, because there are a lot of names here that people have been seeing over the course of the swing season that have done well. Kisner's there, Gooch is there, Noren's there, Henley's there, Neiman, who hasn't been playing great, but he's been fairly consistent up until the miscut that he recently had. Doesn't have great course history here, but when you're talking about long-term form and the type of player that he is, just pedigree-wise, Neiman fits a lot of the things that you need to do well to win at this place. And then Corey Connors at the top at 9,900. I actually, for me, I love Corey Connors. You get him on a shorter course, you get him on Bermuda, which he's not a very good putter. But of all the surfaces, I feel like Bermuda is probably the best of the 3. He's not as bad as Luke List, but you talk about ball striking and wedges. Like Corey Connor, just tee to green is unbelievable. You just got to hope that he gets one of those spike putting weeks. His form as of late hasn't been great, but we haven't seen a lot of him over the course of this season. But I like Connors here. I like the course fit. The other guy in this range that I like is probably Adam Scott. I bet Adam Scott last week. He was in my player pool, and he played okay. He didn't play great, but again, when you're talking about long-term form and you're talking about pedigree, like Adam Scott's won majors. He was one of the best players in the world at one point in time, and he's not that far away. If we could just get the irons firing just a little bit, the putter's been there. He's been good off the tee. If we get the irons at a place where he doesn't need to hit, 6, 7, 8. He's hitting, sand and pitching wedge into greens. Like, I like that version of Adam Scott.
I agree. I bet him too. I bet him this week, and he's in my player pool this week. I love Adam Scott when it comes to, just easier field kind of events, because if we look, overall talent wise, he's probably the best player in the field, to be completely honest with you. Like
him or Louis, right?
Him or Louis. Yeah, just talent wise, and then we're getting a pretty good like financial discount here at 9,000. In what world is Taylor Gooch going to be priced higher than Adam Scott? Like that's not a real thing, but it is here. So I'll take the ownership discount and the money discount and play some Adam Scott for sure. I don't really know what to do with Kisner, to be honest with you, this week. Obviously, we know the guy is a Sea Island guy. He has great course history here, but ever since he won at the Wyndham, he's been awful. He's just been miscut, and then a 56 or something like that. I don't know what to do. What are you doing with Kisner this week? Do you like him as a? I know you didn't bet him, but like, would you play him in DraftKings? He's going to be highly owned. I don't know, man.
To me, you gotta. I don't want to say pick your poison, but you're going to have to figure out which guy you're going to take, and you either take Webb or you take Kisner. If you take both, you're going to be so chalky that the rest of your lineup's going to be dog crap.
Yeah.
So I think if you take a stand on one of them, and for me, I think it's going to be Kisner. If you look at how he's done here, it's like he finishes top 5 or misses the cut, and it typically happens like, hey, top 5 next year, miss cut. Next year, top 5, next year, miss cut. So I think he's coming off of a missed cut. So this could be one of those years where he shows
Kisner?
Yeah.
No, he finished second last year.
Yeah, okay, so never mind. I'm going back to Webb. Yeah, no, but I to your point, like, it's either, for me, I think you either need to go with Webb Simpson or go with Kisner in your DraftKings lineups. I don't think you can have both guys there. So I haven't decided which way I'm going to go yet. But it just depends. One of those two guys has to be in your lineup. The other one you need to remove.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm with you, man. I'm all in on Corey Connors this week. I love how his course fit at this tournament. He just rolling some putts, Corey. Like just be even to the field with putting, and your tee to green game is going to take care of everything, and he's going to be right there in contention on Sunday, I think. I also like Henley this week. I'm going to go back to him. I had him in some DraftKings lineups last week, and I was a pretty big fan of him last week at Houston, but I think I'm going to go back to him this week. He's been playing pretty good golf, and we know how amazing he is. Tee to green, his approach play is amazing. He's been an amazing approach player now for a year and a half. So I definitely am. My 3 guys in this entire range are going to be, Corey Connors, Henley, and Adam Scott. And then the rest of the guys, I'm Noren, I have no interest in. Gooch, I really don't have any interest in. And then with Kisner, I'm probably just going to take like a underweight kind of stance. I'm not going to be overweight on him. I'm just going to kind of be there with him a little bit.
Yeah, the 2 guys that, when you talk about guys that have been playing well and trending over the course of the last few weeks, their form coming in. It's Henley and Gooch, but I think so many lineups are probably going to go Kisner, Gooch, Henley, or Henley, Kisner, Webb. Like you're just like that. Those guys are going to be so heavily owned. And to your point about Gooch and Adam Scott, like I can't mentally get to the point where I'm choosing Taylor Gooch over Adam Scott. Like I can't get over that hurdle. And that's just my issue. But Taylor Gooch is a fine play, in the form model that I have where I rank, strokes gained data over the last 5 or 6 weeks, and then also look at their finishes. He's number 2. I mean, you can't argue with his results. I just, I can't get there this week.
Yeah, he did not play well last week, and I think he's kind of it's time for him to take a couple weeks off. He's been playing every single week during the swing season and playing well, but I think he's kind of hit a wall now, and I don't expect a good performance from him this week, and it'll be a fade for me for Gooch.
Yep, dropping down into that next tier, the 8K range. A lot of names, and based off of kind of the philosophy of where I think people are going to do builds like you and I have been talking about, I think this range is probably going to be ignored. And there's some good options in this range. There's probably 2 guys that stick out to me that I would make the assumption they're going to be the chalkiest 2 guys, and that's Joel Damon and Mito Pereira. Outside of those 2 guys, you're getting guys that were chalky a few weeks ago here in, guys like Johnny Vegas and Seamus Powers, Chris Kirk, because of, course history, what he's done here, his player profile, probably going to come in with some ownership. But you've got like at the top of this range, you've got like Keegan Bradley and Justin Rose and Max Homa, who are 3, again, long-term form, pretty good players. Keegan is a terrible putter. We've crossed that bridge many times. But there's names in this range for me because I'm going to choose probably either Webb or Kisner. Again, I'm not playing Henley, and I'm probably going to fade Dahlman for the same reason. I'm always on the Mito train. Like I can't get off of it. I'm just going to keep betting him and playing him until he actually wins, because I think that's going to happen. And if he does, and I'm not there, I will absolutely choke myself to death. So Mito will be in my field. And then, oddly enough, like at the top of the board, Justin Rose. Like I used to have a Justin Rose problem. Mike can vouch for that. It was like every single major, I would be like, I'm not playing Justin Rose. I'm not playing Justin Rose. And then I'd put him in my lineup and he would miss the cut. And it was so triggering. But, Rose, we've seen him flash at points this year. Again, a place where off the tee game is going to be somewhat minimized by the fact that it's not going to be very long. Rose doesn't have to hit driver a lot. I think that takes his biggest question mark out of his hands. So, and if you can get some leverage on Justin Rose in the field, again, we talk about ownership leverage and how chalky certain guys are going to be. If I can get some ownership leverage with Rose and go to Mito, like that's probably where I'm going to end up in this range.
Yeah, I'm not playing Justin Rose. I
wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah,
I would not recommend it.
I don't think I'll ever play him again in my DFS career. But surprisingly, it looks like the high. I'm looking at my ownership percentage. The highest owned guy as of right now, it looks like it's Max Homa for some reason.
That blows me away.
Yeah, it's weird. Maybe because he's won in Carolina before. I don't really know what people are seeing in Max Homa. I mean, he won. He won the Fortinet a few weeks ago, but since then he has a missed cut and a 35th, and he doesn't have great course history here. 2 missed cuts here. I'm not really in on Max Homa. I'll fade a chalky Max Homa here. I'll drop down to Joel Damon. Why not? The guy played really well last week. He won earlier this year at a coastal windy course in Bermuda. I think it was Bermuda or Punta Cana, one of those 2.
I think it was Punta Cana, down in the Dominican.
Yeah, so he won that earlier this year. I'll drop down to Damon. Mito's a lock for me every week. There's no hiding that. I'm going to play him until he wins, like you said. Game theory wise, I don't know, man. I guess I could go to Keegan. He's coming in low owned. Mac Hughes is coming in low owned. Chris Kirk is coming in highly owned. I'd rather not play a chalky Chris Kirk, but
never a good recipe with Chris Kirk and being
chalky. Game theory wise, I'm probably going to go with Keegan, to be completely honest with you. He finished 15th here last year. He doesn't have the worst form right now. He's playing pretty good recently. I have no real interest in Brendan Todd or Seamus Power, who has terrible course history here. I'm out on those guys. So I think for me in the 8K range, it's going to be a light range for me just because I like the guys higher above.
Yep.
I think for me in this range is going to be Damon, Permito, and Keegan, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. Keegan is just it's tough to swallow because of the price tag at 8,900. There's not
Yeah,
a
of
lot.
course.
There's just not a lot that he's done recently, right? And when we talk about a course that demands putting, and he's not a good putter. Like it's like, man, can I really play Keegan? But at the same point in time, like again, Keegan is a ball striking phenom,
Yeah.
and you put a wedge in his hand, and the guy's unbelievable. So it's one of those things where I can see philosophically how you would play Keegan. The price tag for me this week might be a little too hefty.
Like we said earlier with Corey Connors, just rolling a couple putts at Keegan. I mean, the
Yeah,
guy's going to be
exactly.
amazing tee to green. He's going to be like, 15 to 20 feet every hole, even closer, and that's what he does.
Yep, absolutely. Well, dropping down to the next tier into the 7Ks, much larger range. And again, a lot of names that we've seen over the course of the last few weeks here during the swing season. We've got a couple former winners and guys like CH3. And then the guy who actually, oddly enough, scored very, very high in terms of form in my model. I think he was actually number one for form is Danny Lee. I think he's got a top 10 and a top 15 finish.
I saw
Probably
that you bet him.
yeah, I did bet him, which is probably one of the dumber things that I've done. But it's one of those things where I look at the way that he's played here over the last 2 to 3 weeks, what he's done well, and it's just he sets up here. I think it was probably 3 or 4 years ago where he had his first win where he actually beat, I think, Kisner and gosh, I want to say that it was Robert Streb. It was the week that Kisner had to putt with his wedge, and it was I think it was at the Heritage because he wore the stupid checkered jacket that they give away. Anyways, similar course. What he does well fits here, and again, it may seem like an insane number because we've been getting it, I don't know, 2 or 3 times the number that he's at this week. But I'm going to take a flyer on Danny Lee, and then there's a bunch of other names, guys that are absolutely live in this range. Troy Merritt, Streb, a former winner. Kevin Streelman, again, there's another guy, put in the middle of fairway and hit wedges. There are a ton of guys here. Lucas Glover, great course history. Who do you like in the 7Ks? Because I think this is going to get peppered by a lot of different people because of the build starting in the 9 and 10K range.
I like Patrick Rogers. He has some good history here with a second and a 10th place finish before. His form is a little hit or miss recently. Danny Lee, I could be talked into. I just can't remember the last time I saw him in the 7K range. So
Yeah.
it's really weird for me to see him at 7,700 instead of 6,500, which is what he usually is. But you can't deny the fact that he's with a 7th and a 2nd the last few starts that he's been playing well. He's one of those guys that like comes out on Thursday and shoots like 500 to the first like 7 holes and then tails off. But I don't know. I think to be completely honest with you, the two guys in the middle right here are going to be my favorite plays with Luke List and Aaron Rye. Luke List played really, really well last week, and he actually gained strokes putting. I thought he was going to win the event, to be completely honest with you. On Sunday, I was watching him play, and he was playing really well. Tee to green. I think he's going to carry it over into this week. I said last week I was going to fade a chalky Luke List, which was a mistake. This week he's lower owned because I guess his price has gone up. So I'd rather go back to him now when he has lower ownership than when he was like 15% last week. So Luke List and Aaron Rye coming in at 2%. He played really well last week. Also, I'm going to go back to him in the right there in the middle range there. Dropping a little bit lower. I'll go to your boy. I'll go to your boy Seabass. I think this is a good course for him. Driver.
Coastal course,
wedges. We know he can get hot. But yeah, I like some Sebastian Munoz this week. Who do you like in the lower 7K range?
Yeah, there's 3 guys that I like below 7,500. First one is Keith Mitchell, Bermuda Greens, Keith Mitchell, and he has these weird spike performances that we've seen over the course of the swing season. Yes, he's been dog crapping some as well too, but I like him. The other guy that I like down here is I'm just looking at it. Oddly enough, Team No Putt. If we're talking about Luke List and Corey Connors and all these guys that can't sink putts, let's talk about Kyle Stanley. Kyle Stanley again, put the ball in the fairway, hit a wedge. Just Kyle Stanley, don't lose 9 strokes putting. Just lose 1, lose 2, and you're going to be in the mix of things. Then the final guy that I really like here, that I think has a legitimate chance of winning, that is playing very, very well right now, is Denny McCarthy. Like
why did I knew you were going to say that?
Because I'm a McCarthy truther. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, I don't even mention Seabass because that's just an auto bet for me. I bet it every week. I play him. It's just I don't even talk about it. But McCarthy, if you look at his stats here over the last few weeks, he's just been playing very, very well.
Very well,
it feels like he's getting hot. Do I think he has a chance to win? I think there's some things that need to go right in order for that to happen. But I do think that his miscut equity is better than most of the guys down there. The other guy that I would throw into that mix is Lucas Glover. Glover's a guy who's won in the last 12 months. He has very good course history here. And again, when you take some of the driver issues out of his hands, he's pretty good on Bermuda. But like McCarthy's the best putter on tour, and the best surface that he putts on is Bermuda. So this is the most true Bermuda greens of any of the tournaments that the guys are going to play during the swing season. So I really do like McCarthy this week, and I just have an odd feeling, man, he's just going to be in contention.
You want me to talk you out of McCarthy for a second?
Absolutely.
I just looked and everyone that's in the 7K range from 7,000 to 7,900, he's the only one cracking double-digit ownership.
Chalky Denny McCarthy is never good.
He's coming in at 13%, and every single other player, Henrik Norlander is at 10%, but like other than that, every single other player here is under 10%, which is wild. So ownership is very, very spread out here. I get the Denny love. He's coming in hot. He's gonna be in the majority of like when you build like optimal lineups this week, like he's gonna be plug and play there, like at 7,000. But I can't get there with chalky Denny McCarthy. I mean, let's be real, 13% Denny McCarthy. I'd rather go to like Patton Kazire, who's a Sea Island guy who's coming in at 3%. Yeah, something like that. But Denny McCarthy, I think I saw him on your betting card. He's a good bet this week for sure. He's not on my betting card, but I think I'm gonna add him after I get off the show.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, with options like Kazire and your boy Cunon, Scott Piercy, and Lucas Glover and Adam Shank, I mean, there are a ton of guys that you can go to here. Denny, because of the ownership, I may have to reevaluate my player pool because of that. Because anytime you get a guy in the low 7Ks that ends up in that above 10% ownership, that's just, it's unnecessary. You're going to have to be chalky in other spots, so you might as well choose to get some leverage. And there are a ton of guys, like I mentioned. T Dunks is a former winner. He's 7,200. Robert Streb has won here twice. He's $7,500. There's one Charles Howell III, $7,800. He's a former winner here. Kuchar plays well at all the courses that we talked about. He's 7,900, and his form has been good. Norlander, who you talked about, almost won this tournament 3 or 4 years ago. So there's a bunch of guys who've contended and play well in this field. And as much as I love Denny McCarthy, and I will be betting him, like we mentioned, when you start getting above 10,000 or 10%, it just doesn't make sense to play that guy.
Yep, absolutely. I completely agree there. You could even go to some of the younger guys. I mean, the ones that have no course history, like Taylor Moore and Alex Smalley and Hayden Buckley. Like these guys are this is not the greatest field. I'm not going to say it's a glorified Corn Ferry event, but it's not like John Rahm and Dustin Johnson are playing here. I mean, the top of the board is Scotty Scheffler. So and like we've already talked about it. Like the winner most of the time for this event usually comes from triple digits or high 80s, 90s, 90 to 1 odds. So why not one of these young guys that have, if we're going to play Mito Pereira, why can't we play Hayden Buckley or Alex Smalley or Taylor Moore, guys who have actually played in the swing season and played pretty well so far this year. So definitely could go to one of those young guys with no course history. But yeah, I'm out on Denny, but I'm definitely going to add him to the card after we're done the show.
Yeah, and to your point about the fact that he is chalky, like if you drop down to the next range, which we'll get into now, which is below 7K, you can make arguments that half of the guys that are priced below $7,000 should be priced above 7 and be basically moved from one range to another. Like they're interchangeable in terms of the skill set, win equity, miscut equity, whatever you're looking at. So if you can find leverage from an ownership perspective, that's really where you want to make your play. But dropping down into that 6K range, I mean, again, my betting card is filled with a number of these guys because I think there are guys that are live here. You've got guys like Harry Higgs, Chad Ramey, who's been, one of those names that popped up every single week. Camilo Villegas that plays well here. Matthew Neesmith, who plays well here. Neesmith was, I think, $1,000 more here a week ago, and maybe even $2,000 more a couple weeks ago. And he's $6,800, and he has good course history here. So there's a number of guys where I think you don't have to eat the chalk in the $6,000 and $7,000 range. And again, that's never a good recipe for me. But because of all of those options, the other big thing too is there's a bunch of Euros in here. We didn't even talk about like Matthias Schwab in the level before, but you've got guys like Kurt Kitayama down here at, almost minimum price. Those guys are real guys that play very, very well on the European tour. We just haven't seen a ton of them over here. David Lipsky. These are names of guys who play very, very well. And they are of the same pedigree and quality as a guy like Aaron Rai. Aaron Rai's just been playing better in the swing season. But what's to say one of these guys who comes over from overseas can't play really, really well at a place like this?
Yeah, I completely agree. I like I said earlier, I liked Aaron Rai for sure. But yeah, these Euro guys can easily. I mean, if you're going to get a seaside windy course, I mean, what better course to go at compared to than a European windy course. So definitely could see the Euro guys. I think my favorite play in the 6K range is Matthew Neesmith. I bet him. He has good history here. He has a 15th and a 14th place finish here. I don't think I can get there with Zach Johnson. Zach Johnson obviously owns this course. I mean, he has like nothing but top 10 finishes at this course, but I just never really play Zach Johnson. So I think I'm out on him. He's at, 4 straight miscuts, not really in on him. The other guy that I like here is going to be Andrew Landry. He has 2 fourth place finishes at this event. And for some reason, over his last 4 starts, he's been alternating good and bad performances. He had a miscut 7th, miscut 4th. So he's due for a good finish this week. So I think I really like Andrew Landry this week.
Yeah, Landry is a guy. He popped in my model. Just statistically, he's going to fit very, very good with wedges. He gets super hot with the putter at times. I, like you, love Matthew Neesmith this week. I love his price point. I love a lot of things about him. Where the last, let's say, month, his name has been kind of floating to the top of people's boards because it's like he's trending, and all of a sudden, he has a shitty week and misses the cut, and then everybody's off of him and he drops down below $7,000. So it's kind of a buy low, sell high thing for me. Like I like Matthew Neesmith at sub $7,000. Like he just is a better player than that. Hoagie.
Oh, sorry. We lost Tony's audio here. Nope. Can't hear you. All right. I can't hear you. Okay. I'm just disconnect and come back on. I'll keep talking. But yeah, like Tony was saying, these guys in the 6K range, I mean, you can go to guys with good course history. John Huff had a 12th place finish here. Vaughn Taylor, I mean, this guy plays good on, coastal courses. He had a 10th and 8th place finish here. So pick your poison here. Kevin Tway had a good week last week. I don't really like him at this course, but he played really well at Houston last week with a solo second. Yeah, I mean, these are some names that you just kind of go down and pick who you want. I mean, Brandt Snedeker at 6,300. I mean, this guy can win a golf tournament. So, I mean, we could definitely play some Brandt Snedeker. We know that he can win. He's priced at 6,300. Why not a little flyer on him? Tony, can you talk? Are you? Nope, can't hear you. Mike,
how about now?
Yep, now I can.
Oh, thank goodness. Gosh, technology here.
What happened?
It's important when you're on air doing a show like this that you don't hit the mute button in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
And you figure out how to unmute yourself. Those are key things. Just throwing it out there for any newbies out.
Very key.
The other guy that I was going to say, and you mentioned a bunch of the guys that I was attempting to talk about, But again, your boy T Gala, who we were all on a week ago and 2 weeks ago, like he's down here in this range. And yes, he has not played very well, but again, you're getting a bit of a discount of where he was priced previously. So I could see going back to him just again, the same methodology we're talking about with Neesmith, when you can buy him at a little bit lower of a price. What's to say one of these Corn Ferry guys can't win a tournament like this?
Yeah. Can I give you a name?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know him or not, but I did a little research on him. His name is where is he at here? 6,500. His name is Ludwig Aberg. Do you know him?
Yeah, I think he made the cut last week, didn't he?
He made the cut in his last start. I don't know. I don't remember where it was, but he definitely made the cut, and he actually played pretty well. This guy's the number one European amateur in the world right now. He's solid. I was watching some of his YouTube and Instagram stuff, and this guy knows how to hit the crap out of the ball. So, little flyer there, 6,500. Ludwig Aberg. I think he's Irish, maybe. I want to say Irish. I might be completely wrong with that.
With a name like Ludwig, he's Irish. You would think like he'd be like straight from Germany with that name.
Maybe. I'm not really sure. I can effort this. Ludwig Aberg. He's Swedish. Okay, so he's Swedish.
There you go. The thing with Swedes is you get a bunch of different like cultures mixed into people that are from like the Netherlands and those areas, and so you get all kind of odd names. But it is what it is. But he again. I don't think you're picking a guy like him to win the tournament, but if you're thinking about a guy that has a potential to make a cut, maybe flash and finish top 15, I mean, any one of those guys can be here. I mean, there's other Euros like Graham McDowell. Like this is a McDowell course, like coastal course, short, hit wedges, putt. Like I think that's Graham McDowell. Like historically, yes, he hasn't played very well on the PGA Tour, but the guy won an event in Europe here like 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. We know he can play well at these coastal courses. I don't really have any other names. I dare ask Martin Trainer again.
Oh, dude, he had his moment in the sun, dude. His 5 minutes are. Talk to me about Martin Trainer in 5 years from now. Like he's
at 6,000,
which is insane. Like I'm pretty sure his second place finish is the only reason he got to this tournament this week.
The guy has
the fact that he finished second, and now they have him at basically minimum. What a slap in the face!
The guy, he has an ugly swing. I mean, I don't know how this guy's a professional golfer. I mean, he like takes it up top and he comes so down across the ball. I'm just like, how does this guy like professional golfer? But I mean, he's won on the PGA Tour before. I can't take that away from him. So, I don't really have any other names on here. Dewey Vanderwalt, I played a few times this season.
You love you some Dewey Vanderwalt. I was just looking at that name. I'm like, please don't bring up Dewey Vanderwalt.
Nah, I love him, man. He was playing well earlier this swing season. He's missed a couple cuts, but these guys are all plug and play. I mean, one guy that actually does have good course history here, and we talked about it earlier this year when he was hot. Jim Herman. I mean, this guy has made a lot. He's made a lot of cuts at this event. So he plays it every year, makes a lot of cuts. His form's not the greatest, but I mean, at 6,200, why not?
Yeah, I mean, you can grab him and Scott Piercy, and you guys can go to a Trump rally and yell, "Let's go, Brandon," until you're hoarse. But I will not be playing Jim Herman this week.
I think I read it or I heard it on a podcast. If all you did was in your entire gambling career just bet $100 on Jim Herman every week, you would be rich. Literally,
that's the same methodology that I think you and I are trying to do with Mito, and that Mayow's been doing on Luke List for like 10 years.
Yeah. I don't have any other names. Do you have anybody else down here? I don't really.
No, I think you hit on all the key ones. Vaughn Taylor,
JJ Spawn. I like JJ Spawn this week.
Yeah, Spawn's been playing better. Vaughn Taylor's another one that I think when you're talking about skill set, course history, comp course performances, Vaughn Taylor checks all those boxes the same. But again, I mean, he's just as likely to finish 20th as he is to come dead last. So you're just going to have to kind of pick your poison down here.
Yeah, I'm looking at your model rank. It looks like your model likes Russell Knox. It looks like they like Rory Sabatini, Tom Hoge. We didn't even talk about Tom Hoge. I like Tom Hoge this week.
Yeah, Hoge, to me, Hoagie's probably the best guy if you're talking about miscut equity. That's why he's priced at the top of this range.
He's 11th overall in your model. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, again, like we talked about in the 7Ks, like Hoagie could have been in the 7,000s this week, and I wouldn't have batted an eye. When you got Danny Lee and Luke List and Jason Day, who's been god awful Scott Piercy all above $7,000. Like Tom Hoagie's a better player, at least right now, than those guys are.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, let's get to our bets. I don't really have anything else to say about the 6Ks.
All right. So getting to the bets for the week, I have 3 real bets that I consider real bets. That's Connors, Neiman, and Lee. Again, you and I talked about Connors. I think he's legitimately has a very, very good chance to win this thing. Neiman, he's a better player than the way that he's been playing. His odds are decent this week, so I went there. And then I took a flyer on Danny Lee, just trying to ride the hot train and think maybe he can get home. He'll probably miss the cut, but I'm Danny Lee's my third bet. The 2 auto bets, I put them on here, but you can just guaranteed if Mito Pereira and Sebastian Munoz are in the tournament that I'm going to bet them. As long as they are above 30-1 odds, they will continue to be auto bets for me. And then I have a ton of bombs. A bunch of the names that we talked about, Rye, Long, Kazire, Schaub, McCarthy, you name it. I have sprinkles on all of these guys. They probably have no chance to win, but there's just enough there in each one of those guys. Sloan, for whatever reason, I don't know why, he's become like my mini Sebastian Munoz. I see him in there, I'm like, yeah, he's a better player than that. I think I'll bet Roger Sloan, and he's terrible. Don't do it. But I'm going to bet him at 200-1. So I have a ton of sprinkles. The amount of money that I'm investing has been divvied up pretty heavily between this group. So I'm not betting any more than I usually do. It just my bets are much smaller at that 90 to 200-1 range.
Yeah, I disagree. I think if Robert Strupp can win this tournament, why can't Larry Higgs at
Yeah.
125-1 or Wyndham Clark at 125? I mean, these guys are live this week, I think. So, yeah, going to my card, my main bets this week, like you, Corey Connors. I'm gonna go back to Henley and Adam Scott. Then I got Auto Bet Amito and Joel Dahman on my card. Those are my main bets this week, and then my bombs are Luke List, Aaron Rye, Hank Labiota, who we didn't talk about, Hudson Swafford, who's a Sea Island guy we didn't talk about, Neesmith, and just some couple bombs down here. Brent Snedeker, who sucks, but we've seen him win tournaments before, and Chesson Hadley at 250-1. I don't really got much else there. I'm going to add Denny McCarthy to the card, but I'm going to be looking out to see who's playing well this week. Like I did this past week with Martin Trainer and got a good number on him on Friday night. So if somebody pops up that isn't the greatest golfer in the world, but has a good number attached to them and they're playing well after the cut on Friday, you can fire a couple bullets here. Why not?
Yeah, and you know what? Let's go Aaron Rye, Hudson Swafford, Matthew Neesmith, and Danny McCarthy. If one of those 4 guys wins, dude, we're going to be looking like friggin' geniuses come 2 weeks from now when we come back on the show.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we don't have really much to bet on as far as golf goes until the Tournament of Champions.
Yeah.
So this is the last week to really like hammer down and hit a nice number on it. We have
go big or go home.
Yeah, Hero World Challenge. Why not? Let's end 2021 with a win.
Dude, let's win with a 150-1 Denny McCarthy at the nice. RSM Classic. That just sounds right.
Is that number still there? Like, what is?
Let's see. I think you can find it, dude. I mean, like I said, I got it at 110, but if you can get it north of 100 still, that's still a good number.
Let me see here. What does my book have for Denny McCarthy? My book has it at 100-1. I don't like that, but I'll still bet it.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to shop it and find it a little bit better, but based off of what's happening with ownership, the fact that he's 13%, that number's come down quite a bit since Monday.
Yep, I agree. All right. Well, like we talked about, this is the last event of the year, the last big event of the year. We may do something for the Hero World Challenge. We'll do a season preview pod at some point. But other than that, I mean, it was a good year. We had a lot of winners this year.
Yeah, we had a lot of winners.
Yeah, we had a lot of winners this year. So, yeah, keep following me and Tony on Twitter, and I'll let you wrap up the show.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate everybody that watches, all 6 of you that continue to tune in and watch every single week. But Rick and I have a great time doing this. Rick, I thoroughly enjoy doing the show with you. We've talked about it for years about doing this. So the fact that we finally did it and we made it through the majority of a season, pretty amazing. I'm looking forward to next year, and I'm looking forward to our show getting better, the content getting better, and then continuing to hit winners. So we'll keep doing that. Everybody needs to continue watching you and Chris on the Fantasy Football Show, which will remain on Wednesday nights. And then, of course, Mike and Josh on I think it's Saturday morning and Sunday morning shows that they do the pre and post games. So so continue to tune into both those shows, and then we'll kick it off. We'll probably do one for the Hero, and like Rick mentioned, we'll probably end up doing some form of a majors or season preview show before the end of the year, and then we'll kick it all back off with the Tournament of Champions again. But until then, enjoy the holidays, enjoy the time off, and here's a Denny McCarthy winner at 110-1. Let's go.
Yeah. Big thanks to you, Mike. Thanks for doing everything you do behind the window. And hopefully in 2022, we get a little Tiger Woods back in our lives, I hope.
Absolutely. That would be the best Christmas present I could ask for.
Yep. All right, guys.
Well, appreciate it. Rick, have a good night. Mike, thanks again. And everybody, thanks for tuning in.
Yep.